So the other day, I was reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid: The Meltdown, as one does, and I noticed this interesting passage on pages 86 and 87. We only get a certain amount of snow days each year, and if we use them all, then we have to make them up during summer vacation. In December, the school shut down for 3 days because of a lice epidemic. What happened was that Lily Bodner came to school with head lice, and I guess she didn't know it. So if we're sitting in a hot classroom in July, I guess we can all thank Lily. Now this is all true. In the US, each state sets a certain amount of hours that public schools must teach for. However, most schools teach far more hours than required by law, so that they can account for cancellations due to factors like snow or disease. But, if there are more cancellations than the additional hours that can account for, schools will add days to the end of the year in order to not get in trouble with the law. Everything is fine, that is, until the very last line. So if we're sitting in a hot classroom in July, I guess we can all thank Lily. In the Northern Hemisphere, most schools end in late May or early June. If there's enough snow days to account not only for additional days, but all month of them, Lily is the last person you should blame. Since Greg Heffley doesn't canonically live in any city, I'll assume he lives in the most populous city in his author's home state, Boston, Massachusetts. The Meltdown was released in October 2018, right in the middle of the 2018-2019 school. The Massachusetts Department of Education requires students receive no less than 900 hours of education per school year. In 2018 and 2019, Boston Public Schools students were in school for 180 days. School runs from 8:20 a.m. to 3:05 p.m., or 7 hours and 25 minutes. Which means that Greg was in school for 1,335 hours, far above the amount required by law. In order for Greg to have one additional day of school, school would have to be cancelled for an absurd 59 days in that school year alone. In order for Greg to be in school in July, there would have to be 68 days that are cancelled. Let's say school is automatically cancelled if there are more than 2 inches of snow. Looking at historical weather patterns for Boston, and this is shocking, not a single day of school would be cancelled for weather. If we lower that number to 1 inch, that number increases to a more reasonable 3. If you include the lice epidemic, there are only 6 days of school that are cancelled. In other words, Greg is a liar who is attempting to spread a propaganda campaign against Lily, in spite of the fact that she's done nothing wrong. Even if you include her mistake, the amount of hours in school were barely dented. Greg was never even somewhat close to school going on in July. But Marcus, I hear you say, the book revolves around Greg's school getting shut down after 5 inches of snow. Shouldn't that be taken into account? To that I say, the school was only shut down for 1 day. The snow fell late on Thursday going into Friday, and all the snow melted during the weekend. By Monday, it was business as usual. Adding that to our total, only 7 days of school were cancelled. Not even a fifth of what is needed to add 1 day of school. Greg is only looking out for himself and is attempting to sabotage the good name of Lily Elizabeth Bodner II. Greg's PR team, headed by Jeff Kinney himself, is trying their damn best to make Lily look like the enemy and use lies to prove it. Well, I for one can't stand for it. In the end, truth and justice will reign supreme. And if this little stick figure thinks that he has the final say on what is truth and what is justice, then he thinks wrong. If you think that truth means anything, then you will stand against Greg. You will stand up for Lily, and you will fight until Greg Heffley receives the consequences he deserves for spreading slander to the legions of people that will believe anything he says. In the name of truth, you will make sure that Lily Bodner receives the justice that she so clearly deserves.